Hi, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of Infernal Intercourse with me and Pastor Brian.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about the character of Ella and her friend Ray Ray, who was introduced at the end of Season 3. And we know her also as the Angel of Death, or Azrael. That apparently was her sword that Lucifer had to use in Season 2 to cut a hole in the universe and send Mom over to some void that she could then play with. But we had only been mentioned her once in like Season 2, where we're putting the sword together and someone says this is Azrael's sword, and then someone says, oh, our sister's such a peach. And so it doesn't sound like she's such a great person. Of course, none of these angels seem like great people, but then we have a whole episode with her in it. Is she a great person or not? I don't know. We'll discuss. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think they missed a big opportunity here with this. I think this character could have added a lot of interesting stuff. I was actually thinking of in Bewitched, the crazy old aunt who just is just off on everything she does, and Azrael feels like that kind of a character to me, especially when they set her up as the Angel of Death, and then she's this little mousy, kind of timid girl. So I think they missed an opportunity to have like the Angel of Death who like tries to do things one way and it's always just like 1 degree off or something like that. I think that would have added a lot of, and we talked about them needing humor maybe at times, and I think she could have added a lot of humor. But instead, her story really is full of holes to me. It's a kind of a confusing story. But.
Yeah, for instance, we been told for several seasons that like when you die, like instantly you're translated into your, where you're going. You're in hell or you're in heaven. It's poof. There's no like wandering around. There's no purgatory. There's no limbo. There's nothing. That's just you're there. So what do you need Angel of Death for? What is she doing? Who does she visit? Certain people with certain people. Why are they different? Are they special? Nobody ever says anything about that.
It's interesting. I just thought about it now, the whole idea of like the Angel of Death and the plagues and Moses and things like that. It's actually the first time I kind of made that connection, but I wonder if she's just for certain cases of divine, intervention, retribution, terror, certain acts of God or whatever. It's certainly not explained here. But.
Yeah, I guess that would mean that she would have been the angel that killed all the firstborn in Egypt.
Right.
This little mousy looks like she's just gotten to Hogwarts and is waiting to be sorted into her, house or something. Very sort of not very impressive looking and everything. But
what do you think? I think she's Hufflepuff. Don't you think she'd be Hufflepuff?
Probably.
Yeah.
And also she's kind of whiny. She's like, I don't like hanging around dead people. They're so morose. Blah blah. It's like, okay, I don't even know why you're hanging around dead people. No one ever explains what you're doing with them. So. I don't know, but we also see that she's not a very good friend, right? Like all the other angels, she's just not good at relationships, right? So she likes Ella, she wants to stick around and be with Ella, but when Ella starts telling people that she sees a ghost, she gets sent to therapy for years, and people tell her she's crazy. And meanwhile, Ray Ray is just kind of like, "Hey, Ella, I'm visiting you again." Does she not care? She's sort of destroying Ella's life.
This was a really good way to explain, though, Ella's quirky personality, which is actually one of the more interesting and enjoyable parts of the whole show for me. And so I do like this. This really, boy, they really missed an opportunity. I just feel like she came in and could have done a lot, but it does explain a lot about Ella to me. And my favorite thing, because it's actually, I may have even said this before, it bugs the hell out of me how jovial and unaffected Ella is by however gory the murder scene is, right? Like she's just always like, hey, how you doing? Got a coffee? This is one. Hear this joke. And I know that's common, and that's how people who deal with those things have to deal with those things. But it does seem odd that she's the most comfortable with, regardless of how gruesome the death is. She's just kind of there bubbling in each time. And well, this makes a little more sense since she's been so close to the Angel of Death all her life, even if she doesn't realize that's who it is.
Yeah, so she still thinks Ray Ray is a ghost, and then Lucifer puts it together. So I do like the conversation between the two of them when she says, "You were always my favorite brother." and you were the one I ran to, and like the older ones were bullying me, basically. So it's like, okay, so we've always had Lucifer as kind of like this quintessential middle child, peacemaker, protector of the innocent person, who then apparently, did something to take his father off, but that he's shown some of those signs over the seasons, and that now we're seeing that this isn't new, that this was his original personality, was some sort of instinct to protect the weak and the innocent and the small, which is nice. That he always was kind of like, we were told, like in the first or second season when M.Div said, I was always surprised at your capacity for goodness. So, the fact that he can be a good guy is not new, but still, I don't understand really what her character does. It is kind of nice, I guess, that she prodded Ella to come to LA, knowing or hoping that Ella and Lucifer would then become friends, and that knowing that, then he leaves his apartment and goes back to the station at the very end so that he can let Ella just bore him to tears with some technical aspect of her job that he's going to sit there and now listen to, because this is what he used to do with his younger siblings, would be to take care of them and protect them and listen to them when they had something to say, when the other older ones couldn't be bothered to listen to the younger ones. So, I like what it reveals about his character, and the fact that we can see even, before the fall, that he wasn't such a bad guy. But it doesn't really explain much about Azrael's character, I guess.
Yeah. It does legitimate a little bit of Lucifer's whining about his mother and father. Which is funny, because it's usually the role of the oldest, right, to raise the siblings. But it sounds like Lucifer was that one, which makes sense why Lucifer is the one then that gets the harshest punishment and the greatest responsibility of everyone as well.
Yeah, because we don't know we've never been told what, maybe we will now, that there's going to be a God character. We've never been told what he did to piss Dad off, or why getting sent to hell was considered an appropriate punishment for that. But God does seem to expect more from him, or to punish him harder, or to, I don't know, think that he's single him out for something. So I would suspect, and I hope I find out if I'm right or wrong, that whatever that God did that pissed Lucifer off was something similar to this, ties in with his capacity for goodness, that God was doing something that Lucifer thought was unjust, or that wasn't right, and the other angels are just sitting around being self-involved, going, yeah, whatever, it's Dad. And it's Lucifer's like, no, you have to protect people, you have to stand up and do the good thing and do the right thing, and that's what singles him out. And here's Azrael telling us that's what singled him out for her, that's why you're my favorite brother, and maybe that's ultimately why he gets sent to hell, because of this particular aspect of his personality that his siblings don't seem to share.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We talked about addiction in one of those episodes, and I always say addicts, once we get clean, we're the high flyers, and maybe we were so sensitive, and maybe we're the ones that just can't walk away from that fight, that just can't let the injustice go, right? And so we self-destruct over it, and it almost feels like that's very much Lucifer, the high flyer who just couldn't choose not to fight that battle, right? And so, and of course, as fathers and sons will do, they locked horns.
Yeah, except I guess not literally, since he made a point that he doesn't have a tail or cloven hooves or horns or whatever. He didn't even have them, I don't think, in his end of season 4 more bestial form there.
I was just thinking the same thing. I was trying to picture that when he gets to the end there, when he's looking all devilish. Does he have orange?
He still doesn't have a tail or cloven hooves or horns. He does have bat wings, but yeah, and he should, because fluffy white wings probably aren't that intimidating.
Right.
They're
it's a M.Div has those beautiful wings, Lucifer can't have those. Those are beautiful.
Yeah, and every time we've seen an angel and we've seen their wings, they've been a different color.
Yeah.
So it seems like everybody gets a color, which implies then that Lucifer is the only one with pure white wings. And I don't know if that's important or not for the show. But, M.Div is kind of a nice soft gray, and Azrael's are kind of a sort of a lilac maroon kind of color. And then in the 4th season, we had Remiel show up, and she had these kind of like hawk-looking wings with kind of spots on them.
Do we say Ariel's wings? I don't know.
Whose?
Uriel?
Uriel, we didn't see his wings, no. So everybody else, though, has individually colored wings.
I want to know Uriel's wing color now.
And you can write the showrunner.
Damn this show in their holes, I'll tell you.
But I guess they would have been a different color. So here's Lucifer with all fluffy, completely white wings. You know, I don't know if that's, maybe we'll find out that's important, the color. I don't know.
Well, and again, going back, this is comic book culture. This is kind of a cultish culture. And so obviously there's a huge group of people that identify with the underdog, that identify with Lucifer, that identify with the outcast. And so I'm sure that that is a beautiful redemption for those folks who feel misunderstood, that Lucifer really is the gifted one, the protective one, the one with the white wings. And so this little story arc was probably a really, really good one, positive for those folks.
Okay, so any final thoughts on Ella and Ray Ray?
I think it was good stuff for me, and I wish it would have become a more permanent part of the show.
All right, well, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Infernal Intercourse with me and Pastor Brian. If you liked it, please hit the like and subscribe and hit that little bell notification so you can be told when I upload more videos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.